Hello, I'm Will Betts, Vice President of Local Merchandising at Whole Foods Market. I am thrilled to lead the local team. I've been with Whole Foods Market for almost 25 years, spending most of the time in regional merchandising roles. Over the course of my career, I have had the opportunity to move from Washington, D.C. to Chicago, to Seattle, and now down to Austin. I have worked closely with local suppliers across the US and also in Canada. I intimately understand the important role our local suppliers play in serving our customers and the important role we as Whole Foods Market can play in facilitating the growth of our supplier partners. Thanks for tuning into the local supplier sessions. I'm excited to share with you information about our local program and our local team. In this session, you are going to hear about some of our initiatives, get to meet your local contacts, and learn ways to partner more effectively with us. I want to start off by sharing our local vision. Customers will choose to shop at Whole Foods Market because we have the best local assortment and because they see that Whole Foods Market supports their communities through the local relationships. Our product mix will reflect the communities where our stores are located. Leading in local is something we have traditionally done, and it will continue to be a winning strategy moving forward. Local connects the key stakeholder groups of the customers, team members, and suppliers to our core values, and particularly, I want to touch on the we care about our community and environment core value. Supporting local cuts down on food miles and supports the supplier community where our stores are located by increasing economic opportunity and economic gain. While we already have a robust local program, we are focused on expanding it. When we talk about amplify local offerings, it means executing in store. We have local profiles celebrating our supplier partners and local tags designating local items. Amplifying the program also entails increasing team member engagement. Team members need to know about all our amazing local stories so they can share them and engage with our customers. We need to be vocal about what we are doing, and an exciting aspect within that is we are looking to put a local focus to online shopping with local as a point of differentiation. Finally, calling out Whole Foods Market standing in the supplier community and our efforts there. We are going to put a greater focus on how we support smaller suppliers, the largely local suppliers. We are looking to help suppliers grow. We want to get the best new and trend-setting products that align with our mission and core values so that we take a leader position in the incubation field. We want suppliers to come to us first with their best innovations. I want to take a moment to discuss the local team. I imagine some of you have been following our merchandising evolution that started years ago with improvements in our merchandising capabilities and category management tools. As the natural next step in our evolution, we've created one unified merchandising team company-wide, and we've created new leadership roles focused on local products and supplier relationships. This will help us more effectively integrate local into our overall merchandising strategy and create a more consistent, seamless supplier experience. My role to lead the team, the Vice President of Local Merchandising, is a new position for the company. We have also created two executive leader positions. Mary Beth Vulty is the executive leader of Local for the East, and Monica Coyle is the executive leader of Local for the West. Monica, Mary Beth, and I lead an amazing team of local foragers dedicated to curating the best local assortment for our stores. Most of our foragers have been in their roles for years and are well known to many of you. You will get to meet your forager later in the session. Continuing to support and elevating the local program is a major focus of this evolution. Under our new team structure, our local foragers form a cohesive team that enables us to leverage their individual expertise with common processes to better serve our local suppliers and ultimately our customers. Some of the training we will share in this session is a direct result of this cohesion. I want to reiterate that we continue to have foragers based out of all our regions, including in Canada and in England, to support the local program. We recognize the importance of having experts actively spend time in the communities where our stores are located. We are proud of our deep roots and connections. I want to highlight a couple of initiatives directed to suppliers. We are working on a supplier playbook that will provide more clarity on how to work with us. Through a series of modules, we will clarify what we expect of you and what you can expect of us. Onboarding and growth are two priority modules we will develop. Another initiative is to increase the amount of our supplier story videos. Thanks to many of you who have already helped create these segments that speak directly to our team members. Don't be surprised if we reach out in the future with a request for you to share your passion for the products you create. Now I want to hand it over to another member of our local leadership team, the fabulous Kelly Landrew, who is the local coordinator for Whole Foods Market and resident expert for all things local. Kelly will explain how Whole Foods Market defines local.
Thanks, Will. Hey, everybody, my name is Kelly Landrew, and as Will said, I'm here to talk a little bit about our local definition. I'm our global coordinator for local products here at Whole Foods Market. And if you participated in any of our 2019 local supplier summits, both myself and this definition might be a little familiar to you. A couple years ago, we aligned on the way we approach defining local across all regions. Basically, Whole Foods Market defines local producers as businesses that are owned, headquartered, and producing in the same community, state, or province served by our stores. I'm going to walk you through the technical definition, but hang on, might get a little academic sounding, so please bear with me. We define local using two mutually inclusive criteria. There's the academic sounding piece. The first is production. Production refers to product and the location of production. So the product must be raised, grown, manufactured, or processed within the state or local area where a store is located. The second is geography, and geography refers to the supplier. And a supplier must be headquartered and owned within the state or local area where a store is located. We also have one exception to the definition, and that's the locally raised or grown exception. Primarily, this applies to products in our perishables categories, although we do occasionally see products in other categories that are eligible for this. The way it works is that if a supplier does not meet one of the two criteria I laid out before, they and their items can still be designated as local if the majority of ingredients are raised or grown in that local area and the ingredient origin is clear to the customer, either on in-store signs, that would be for single ingredient perishables items like tomatoes, or on the item packaging itself. So I'll be honest with you, maintaining a consistent application of our local definition has not been easy, but we are committed to doing so because there's such a huge return on that time and effort. It really helps us to transparently identify local items in our stores to our customers in a very consistent manner. And that helps us to honor the special space that local occupies in our product assortment. It also helps us to better integrate local into our company-wide merchandising practices, which helps us to improve local supplier experience and product execution. And then finally, it helps us monitor our local program performance. And with that, I'll hand it off to Mary Beth Volte.
Hi, supplier partners. My name is Mary Beth Volte, and I have the pleasure of leading the local team across the Southeast region. I'm excited to share some updates on how our new merchandising structure will help support local brands, as well as connect you with your new contacts. The changes will help us more effectively integrate local into our overall merchandising strategy and ensure we continue to provide our customers with exciting, innovative, and delicious products they've come to find on our shelves. We also believe these changes will facilitate easier paths to growth for our local and regional suppliers by creating a more consistent and seamless supplier experience across all product categories in all of our regions. Through our merchandising evolution, we have aligned globally on who owns the primary relationship or touch point with a specific brand. In some cases, the local forager will be your first point of contact, and in some cases, it will be the regional category merchant. Depends on the category and the amount of stores that sell your product. This means your contact may change as your brand grows. To frame up the roles, a forager sources just the local assortment in almost all categories, and a category merchant sources the entire assortment for specific categories. So the local forager and the category merchant partner on the local assortment where there is intersection. If all of this sounds confusing, I'm going to provide more detail and know that you can always reach out directly to your forager for clarity. So let's start with introducing the foragers. To the Southeast region, your principal forager is Kristen Sherman, and she is responsible for Georgia. The principal forager role supports local brands in their designated metro, but also is connected to the operations team as well as the rest of the merchandising team in the region and at Global, having regular alignment meetings with the merchants and discussing local brands. Supporting Kristen and the rest of the Southeast region are two senior foragers. Dustin Kennedy is responsible for South Carolina, North Carolina, and Tennessee. Joanne Neubauer is responsible for Florida, Mississippi, and Alabama. The primary role of the senior forager is to source local products and monitor local item performance in their metros. They collaborate with the principal forager to support the larger regional goals and initiatives with local brands. We wanted to share how to get in touch with your teams moving forward as we have new contacts. So now I will share out your regional category merchant contacts. Here are your contacts for center store. For grocery and whole body categories, the local forager will maintain the primary point of contact through the onboarding process when products are sold in a limited number of stores or metros in the region, generally under 50% of the stores. If your product graduates to placement in a majority of the stores in the region, then the primary point of contact will move to the regional category merchant. And here are your contacts for the perishable teams. For produce, meat, and seafood categories, the forager will help to identify new local items and suppliers and have initial conversations. For the onboarding process and moving forward, the category merchant will be the primary point of contact for the relationship. The forager will still be available to partner and to offer support. And here are your contacts for the culinary team. In prepared foods, bakery, and specialty food categories, similar to perishables, the forager will help to identify new local suppliers and have initial conversations. For the onboarding process and moving forward, the category merchant will be the primary point of contact for the relationship, and the forager will still be available to partner and offer support. Note that for adult beverages, the category merchant will be handling all the supplier contact, and the foragers will not be sourcing for that local assortment.
Hello and welcome. Today, we are pleased to present the Whole Foods Market Supplier Portal. After you've registered an account, this is where you'll find valuable information to help in your journey as a Whole Foods Market supplier. Let's take a tour of the navigation menu, starting with the newsfeed. Visit the newsfeed to stay up to date on interesting and important notifications from our regional and global teams. The Supplier tab is where you'll find general purchasing information, supplier guidelines, and category-specific onboarding detail. We've also included our food safety toolkit for you in the submenu. Under the Products tab, you'll find our Quality Standards page containing resources such as ingredient and sourcing standards. Below this, you'll find sections for each of our major categories. Here you'll find everything you need to know about guidelines, new items, and promotional submissions all in one place. For our supplier partners that work with our exclusive brands team, there is an additional tab with documents and webinars for you as well. The Programs tab covers global promotions, our global demo program, as well as our local producer loan program. You'll find details, instructions, and eligibility requirements for each one. Check these out if you're interested in taking part. Last but certainly not least, the Support tab holds a number of pages including frequently asked questions, a comprehensive form library, an introduction to our Whole Kids and Whole Planet Foundations, and a link to the vendor reporting portal. Here, you can access sales and movement data for your products. If you need help accessing this portal, contact our support team at wfmvendor.reporting@wholefoods.com. You can access the Supplier portal at supplier.wholefoodsmarket.com. Be sure to include the https://. We're so glad to have you as partners and can't wait to see what we can do together. For now, thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.
Hey y'all, I'm Kristen Sherman, Principal Local Forager for the Southeast region, and I'm excited to share with you some exciting updates of what we've been up to over the past year. First, I'd like to introduce you to the rest of our Southeast local team. You've got myself based in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm covering the larger Atlanta Metro with local foraging, as well as the general program operator for the Southeast region. And then we've got our new senior local foragers, Dustin Kennedy and Joanne Bauer. Dustin is sitting in Raleigh, North Carolina, and is taking point for local foraging, procurement, and supplier support for our North Carolina, South Carolina, and Tennessee markets, while Joanne lives in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and is taking point for our Florida, Alabama, and Mississippi markets. So collectively, we bring nearly 30 years of experience to Whole Foods Market with varying backgrounds, and we couldn't be more thrilled to be working together to bring the best of what the Southeast has to offer to our Whole Foods Market shelf. Here's a little snapshot of some of the work we've been doing to bring new items to market, along with where we stand as a region today. In 2021 to date, we've launched 609 new items and 53 new brands across the Southeast region, bringing us to a total of 1,229 local suppliers. You heard a bit earlier about how we define a local brand, but in short, it's any product that is headquartered or brand that is headquartered as well as grown, raised, or otherwise produced within the same state or 275 miles of where the respective Whole Foods Market store is located. So here's some examples of some of our newer partnerships with suppliers that I'm excited about to share. We've got Red Clay, Hot Sauce, lots of great new products coming from them out of Charleston, South Carolina. The Shortbread Shop out of Nashville, this was part of our new store opening project earlier this year. Spice Walla and Sunshine Sammy's are both grocery brands based out of Asheville, also part of the new store project. And then Frick and Freck, Pasta Sauce line right here in Atlanta, really great product line. Barrier Island Oyster Company is a seafood supplier out of the Charleston area that we've really been excited to introduce to the seafood department. Camino Bakery is actually in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and we've been working with them to expand into the Charlotte Metro, which has been great. And then we've got Murphy's Naturals is a line of bug repellent products, candles and body care and incense that are all natural and have really aligned with our core values at Whole Foods Market. And finally, Gables Delight out of Florida, guava jam, Good Food Award winner, really great stuff. So here are some examples of how the program lives in our stores. As a region, we work with various stakeholders and team members and operations to help make the program live strongly and consistently in our stores. You'll see this through supplier partner profiles that are designed in-house by our marketing team, with assets provided by the suppliers. These help tell the story of the supplier, of the people and the places behind the products we sell, and just kind of help amplify displays that you see here, including any cross-merchandising to help keep local top of mind throughout the store. So you'll see this in all departments, from the bakery to whole body, You'll see our four-sided fixture there in the center, which was a designated fixture for featuring local brands and regional brands. And I really love this Montaigne display from our West Faces store on the right, with a big banner above it, featuring Hollis Callaway, the founder of the brand. And finally, in the bottom left there with the exclusive beer that we launched with our downtown Nashville store opening, and then some example of a special poster that we created just to show state by state how many local communities and brands that we're supporting for that market. So one thing you've probably heard a little bit about that I'm excited to share a little bit more on is what's to come in the combination of our South and Florida region. So as you may know, our South and Florida regions have operated independently up to this point. And basically now through January of next year, we'll be working to align and combine our merchandising assortment and operational programs with support teams to support these 78 stores as one region and one team. So there's a lot of work to be done between now and then, a lot of considerations. And while some of our aspects of our ways of working have already evolved to function forward as the Southeast, there's still a lot to be done for these two independent regions to be managed and considered as one. Some of these include, as I mentioned, assortment, distribution, points of contact, and support. So we dipped our toes a little bit into this sort of transition last year when the Destin and Tallahassee locations in the Panhandle joined the South region. So now we have the remainder of Florida, which includes an additional 30 locations, totaling 78 for the sensational Southeast, as we're calling it. So many more details and to come on the implications and impacts for your brand and our supplier community coming soon over the next several months. Here's a quick look at the new stores that we've opened over the past year across the Southeast region. We've got South Asheville, our third Asheville location, opened December 8th. This store opened with over 2,500 local items from over 400 local brands. Asheville's already a really strong market for us with the two existing stores and a lot of great creative makers and entrepreneurs. So we're really excited to add this third location, very similarly to the next one, just a couple weeks later in Chattanooga, our second location in that market. This store opened with over 1,500 local items from 150 local brands. So, you know, Eastern Tennessee, Western North Carolina, a lot of shared values and similarities in product mix. Two really great adds to the South region to make them even stronger. And then finally, just not too long ago, West Tampa is actually a relocation. I got to be a part of all three of these store openings, which was really fun. This is the newest of three locations in the Tampa Bay area with over 800 local items coming from 160 local brands. Really beautiful store. Definitely an upgrade from kind of the old Tampa store down the street. And really excited to continue to see how that store performs. And while we don't have any future new store opening projects to announce today, we are looking forward to focusing on the success of our existing locations as we review opportunities in the ever-competitive grocery retail industry in the coming years. And finally, I'd be remiss if I didn't take some time to mention some of the highlights regarding some of the trends that we're seeing in the industry and what we're looking for in order to help provide the most relevant and compelling assortment for our customers. Our Forager team provides a heavy input on these trends each year based on what we're seeing in the marketplace. And well, some of these trends are short-lived and you know, based on a myriad of external factors, you know, flour and bread with the pandemic, things like that. Many more are here to stay with the continued demand from our core shoppers who share the same values as Whole Foods Market. So you'll see from our most recent, you know, 2021 trends report, kind of a word bubble of some of those top trends. A lot of these are continuing into 2022, you know, with a lot of plant-based snacks, upcycled foods, meatless jerkies, things like that. A lot of different varying introductions in the adult beverage space with hard seltzers and Boozy Booch. Definitely seeing a lot of interesting things with coffee, mission-based, different ways that supplier entrepreneurs are giving back to their communities, kind of paying forward and creating a strong economy through the products that they sell. A lot of amplified at-home cooking, worldly flavors, spices, different global food trends, chili crisp, that's a big one. So yeah, definitely excited to see all of these trends continuing with the items that are presented to our team to review. And you saw at the beginning, our contacts for our alias. And if you've got friends that are makers that you think would be a great fit for Whole Foods Market, you can always send them to the supplier portal. We've got a potential supplier intake form. That's a great first step. So that's all I've got. Thanks so much, and we'll see you in the stores.
All right. Well, hey, Greg, thanks for taking some time to chat with me this morning. I think you and I first met, it's been, what, three and a half years now in Charleston. We were getting ready for a big event there, and we sat down at Miller's all day. I think I had the breakfast plate with your unicorn grits, and I was sold for life, sent me home with a bag, and just kind of became obsessed. And I know, just being from Iowa and kind of having that connection to the field and where food comes from, and just hearing you talk about your passion for the trade was just really cool to connect, and was just excited to think of you and to share a little bit more about your story and how you got started. So if you could just kind of introduce yourself and talk about a little bit how you got into this business.
They didn't have any pink corn in Iowa?
No pink corn, not that I knew of.
Well, my name, and it's been a pleasure working with Whole Foods, especially meeting Kristen. I'm based near Charleston, South Carolina. The name of my farm is currently Marsh Hen Mill. We started under the brand Geechee Boy Mill. And have changed names with the times, and I'm sure we'll talk about that later. But I married into a very, very large commercial tomato operation and spent many years farming vegetables for chefs. And from there, went back to my boy kind of passion childhood, which is I learned how to mill from an old third generation miller, and never knew that's what I was going to do. We had a farmer's market or a roadside market. And, we just wanted to kind of educate and show people different parts of agriculture. And that's when I kind of started using our cover crops to show the milling process to everyone. And from there, we literally had to start cutting vegetables out, and to kind of speed up the transition. I thought I was going to take over a commercial business, and that commercial business had its end point. My father-in-law, kind of the hierarchy that started it 50 years later, saw the end in sight. Why is that end in sight? It was just a combination of two things. The market window was changing. Canada's hothouse production grew. Florida could grow a later tomato. It was very difficult in our little 6-week window to continue, and he could see that 15 years ahead of me. So it played its course, but it paved the way for the business we have today. So it's still a family-run business. Brothers still grow a lot of the crops. We have had to expand and pick up other growers. Hurricane Matthew taught us that, and it's a sore point living on the coast. But Matthew wiped out about 75 to 85% all my crops, and I learned that year you can't do it all yourself. I can't be a family farm and put all my eggs right in one basket. And from there, we've had to reach out to all across the state and beyond. We have rice in Georgetown, and we have peas and stuff up above us a little bit. Deer pressure isn't as bad, but we try to be a family, and we try to be a family farm as much as we can.
Yeah, very cool. So I believe we've got you in all 46 or 48 stores across the South region. Looks like you've been a supplier partner with Whole Foods now since 2016. and getting ready for a new region, the Mid-Atlantic region. Can you share a little bit about what that experience has been like, just getting into grocery retail and how your products been received over the years?
Well, you know, I was probably 80% chef driven. You know, again, I started with vegetables. Everything was very heirloom driven, very one-off, very two chefs in their hands, and never really consciously put a percentage of what I needed to do in the business. And we were just blessed to get kind of grocery stores later when vegetables quit, and it was more when I had a product I felt I could supply year round, because that was a problem with one-off vegetables. But you know, COVID, that word that hurts us in so many ways. I myself was sick with COVID. My father-in-law passed to COVID, the farmer that taught me everything. And you know, say 80% was restaurant and 20% was grocery stores. In one day, I lost about 100% of those restaurants and my whole business. I've got about 12 families, 23 with all the farms, and we lost all the business. And the grocery store, specialty store, was our entire future. So, you know, not knowing that we had to pivot so fast, not knowing how important a grocery store is and Whole Foods, but partnering with a grocery store like Whole Foods means everything to us, because we never had to tell our story with a chef. The chef told our story, and it was easy for them to tell at a small restaurant. When you're only growing heirloom products, when you're only trying to do very specific kind of, we do something called a rice kitchen. It's a rotation of all heirloom biodynamic farming. We're trying to use these heirloom varieties. Our earliest variety of corn dates to the 1500s, and we go forward to about the middle 1800s. There's some our latest crops are real early 1900s. So very low yielding. The story is important. Cost has to go up because of all the care and the loss we take and everything around it. So Whole Foods, the grocery store, was so important because they're like-minded. You know, y'all are like-minded, but on top of that, customer base is like-minded. They get the understanding. They shop there for a reason. If I was in, you know, a big box store, meaning a club or, you know, a Walmart or something, and I put all those eggs in that basket like that, I'm afraid I might have even lost my business, let alone if the customer base would be willing to pay over, say, instant grits. You know, we do a lot more than grits, but grits is probably the most well-known thing. We have multiple varieties. As you said, you tasted the pink. We have Jimmy Red and Old Bootleggers corn, and we have a blue, and we have traditional whites and yellows, and we have flint corns, and there's a reason for each one. And it's not just color. Each one has a profile. And again, it was sought after by chefs, and we procured it. Now the story has to change because that industry still has not come back 100% for our liking. But the grocery store, and we've just been blessed to do a couple products in the next region with Mid-Atlantic, and we're hopefully gonna see how the next region goes and see how people kind of perceive that in a new region with y'all. So we're super excited. And if it wasn't for that, I don't even know how we'd make it through the pandemic, to be honest with you, because the supply is interesting. A lot of companies I talk to say, I couldn't get this during the pandemic, I couldn't do that. Besides the plastic bags, because our paper bag company went out of business years ago, everything else we do in-house. We clean the corn, you know, we grow the corn, we process the corn. So, you know, and we're isolated on a small island. So all my workers kind of stay, if they're not family, they are family to me on the island. We kind of stay to ourselves. So it's just a little engine that could kind of atmosphere out here.
Yeah. So yeah, you mentioned just the flux of demand and just availability of where your customers are with the food service industry crashing and grocery retail. You know, on our side, we saw a lot of spikes on pantry staple buying and stocking up, things like that, which I think is leveled off to some degree. How has some of that just kind of impacted, you know, your planning, your operation? And what do you foresee for the future? How do you kind of meet that supply with demand with
Right.
with the changes?
the main thing that you need to hear and anybody needs to hear that nobody thought about is we planted all our main grain crops, rice, corn, all the big ones that we make all our money probably 2 to 3 months prior to COVID starting. So I had suppliers, I had people saying, well, just don't plant as much and you won't have to care. It was too late. It was already all in the ground. And it's not like you're going to go out there and kill the crop. So what began to happen very quickly is, again, for people to understand, a 1.5 pound bag is what Whole Foods person is buying, and a restaurant's buying a 25 pound bag. Well, a lot of the restaurants aren't buying a 25 pound bag. I have restaurants buying 800 pounds of a product a week. So when you take that out and you lose that percentage so quickly, our grain bins, our coolers, cold storage became, because our humidity and temperature on the coast, we can't just leave it in grain bins. So again, it was a tomato farm at one point. So we have to store about 400 tons of grain. And it's been a blessing over the years. Well, 400 tons wasn't enough anymore. As it progressed, we ran out of space. We ran out of cooler space. We started renting and intaking a lot of extra expenses to rent other places to put things. And we had to learn the game of how do you hold crops for a long time. And it changed everything for us. It changed how we do business. It changed how we did everything. So I can't take my corn and go to a feed mill and sell it. They would not only probably laugh in my face because they'd say, that's red. What am I going to do with red corn? Let alone the price doesn't even warrant me taking it. A conventional farmer can get 320 bushels to the acre. I'm lucky to get 50, so if I would take such a loss, it wouldn't be worth it. So it's been quite, and then my growers going into the second year, I had to penalize them and not ask them to grow anything. So I've heard a lot of families that had a big percentage of their budget and their family based off of what we bought, and we just couldn't buy anymore. So, it's hard to penalize your own brother, but we had no option because we were storing so much corn and stuff. And we're right now just getting back to normal, but yet the harvest is just coming in right now. So it's still a pretty big deal. It's evolving very fast, and we try to, but those numbers, I don't know, other companies, they did it too or saw it, but Amazon caught on so fast, like you said, and people wanted to cook at home, and we didn't know how to keep up at one point, but it was too hard to manage to understand, was this going to last? Who was going to call us next and need a pallet? That was a week later, no one would need a pallet. So it was up and down and up and down. And I'm just blessed that everybody that works with me, not for me, was excited and willing to put in the hours when we had the hours, and we never had to let anybody go. But it's very trying. I take care of everybody else first, and my family, we just try to keep going and stuff. And then I put in a name change in that whole thing. So whatever little bit of money that a company could have made, I had to use every bit of that money and more just to make this name change.
Yeah, which is a great segue. So I think it was July of 2020. I remember being in Asheville at the time, got a call from you about what was going on with, some of the feedback from the community. And I will say it was interesting trend that we saw over the past year or two with brands kind of taking a step back and repackaging, relabeling, rebranding, but your motivation and the lift of your change was definitely unique. Tell us about it, just a little bit of the why and where you're at today with reintroducing Marchette Milk.
Yeah, well, I mean, the partnership Whole Foods, when I tell it, is huge. So here you are as a company, you lost 80% of your overall business, and an outcry comes that you're using a name that you shouldn't use. And my story comes with the tomato farm. The gentleman that owned the farm, that was his nickname. It was painted on the buildings when we bought the property. So somewhere in the 1960s, he named it Geechee Boy. And when we bought it to continue the tomato farm, again, it was painted on the buildings. There was no thought put into it. It was sold nationally at that point. And I don't know, the effect was hard. The effect was hard on myself and my wife, and we have 2 little boys, and we were accused of a lot. And we began to get kickbacks, stores asking if they could even continue to sell our product. And it was very simple to us. It was never my legacy. It was never my intentions to hurt an individual. What I want to do is keep just all the work we've done. That's what we're working towards. We're not working towards a name. We're working towards, 12 years of one varietal of corn, and you do that over and over. On the 12th year, on 10 years before, you did another variety. So you're constantly working on saving seed. So the name did not reflect who I was. It was just the business that we built, and the name grew with it. So I studied birds in college, and I love inspiration of the wildlife. So it was easy. The little marsh hen is out there clapping every morning, and we're believers. And my thought was, I'm under the wing of God, and that's where the Psalm 91:4, where the name came from. So for us, it was simple to change the name, but the process that we didn't understand, that everybody needs to understand, is when you make that change after you build up 18 plus years of stuff, from trademarks to bags to everything, you just don't realize what it takes to make a change that way. Every office was closed. IRS was closed. Just to change the name took a year and a half almost, because we couldn't get them to simply just change something simple for us to move forward. And the partnership with y'all, with Whole Foods, is huge, because as a small business, I think we just received all the new packaging after the state evaluated it, after the branding was done. Trademarks, just get the trademarks. Trademarks weren't cheap. Just for what we did and what we want to do was more, twice what we paid, priorly, because of how we're trying to set things up. We didn't have to do everything, but it's what we wanted to do to kind of protect the brand for the future and what we are. So what I'm getting at is, right now we just released Whole Foods bags, the retail, and that took almost, I'd say, a year and a half, just from bags, from the idea of the name to finish. Well, we had to run the old bags in that part, and the partnership helped us, but getting the name out and doing the right thing has been a big turmoil towards my family and to the farmers, because again, all this is to supply everybody that works backwards, meaning all the farms and all. So they're wondering if they're even going to be able to do anything in the future. And I said, the product speaks for itself, and that's what we are. And that's, as a community, all the people that work with us are. So I'm going to focus on that. And, you throw COVID in the mix, it makes it even more exciting. But truthfully, we know we're in the right direction. We believe in what we are. And intentions were never to do anything to hurt anyone. And everybody has their own reasons for what they do in life. And for me, it was simple. I got 2 kids, and if they want to take the business over one day, I want it on my watch that I took care of things properly. And then if it's not them, like the miller that taught me, he was a 3rd generation miller. His kids didn't want to continue. So if somebody else takes over, that's why it's not going to be my last name. It's not going to be anything identified just as me. I want it to be, worrying about the region and worrying about who we are in this area. And there's not an offensive thing about a little bird. So we, wanted to do the right thing and move on. But, I would have never taken on that at the same time as COVID. I mean, it's been a very interesting time.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, while it did take a long time, I do appreciate just what y'all did to maintain the integrity of the product, all this, the certifications. I know that was an added layer, just making sure it was still the high quality, unique heirloom product that your Kichi Boy fan base grew to appreciate. And I think the introduction to Marsh and Mill over the next couple of weeks will be a big hit. I'm excited to see it in stores. So awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chit chat with me, and just always love hearing about your just the work you put into your brand and your business and your family and your I guess both work and actual family, showing me around a few, last month, I think it was, just seeing how tight everyone is and how they all kind of come together to make it a really strong operation. And yeah, just really appreciate hearing your story. So thank you, Greg.
Well, thank you very much, Kristen.
Hi, and welcome to the Food Safety Update. I'm Chad Caldwell, and I'm a team leader on the Supplier Quality Assurance team. And my team is responsible for setting the food safety standards for suppliers of Whole Foods Market. We also review any technical content that is submitted into us by suppliers for evaluation and feedback. Some examples of this would be third-party food safety audits or testing records. I'm going to be talking to you today about why food safety is so important and what's new on this topic at Whole Foods Market.
Awesome. Hello, my name is Brandon Gallenstein, and I'm a senior business analyst on the Global Quality Assurance Business Operations team. My team is responsible for creating, supporting, and continuously improving the systems and programs that drive food safety and quality initiatives at Whole Foods Market. I'm here today to talk about the systems and process to support food safety and quality standards compliance.
Okay, so the first thing that we want to talk about is why food safety is so important. I'm sure that some of you have heard that there's an estimated 48 million Americans and another 4 million Canadians a year that suffer from foodborne illness. We're constantly seeing more and more notifications about food safety recalls and outbreaks occurring in North America. And a lot of this is driven by increased facility inspections and product sampling from regulatory agencies. And social media has only increased the general awareness with consumers about these occurrences. And consumers expect that the products they buy in our stores to be safe. So our number one mission is to provide not only the highest quality food products to our customers, but also to ensure its safety as well. We've also seen that federal agencies continue to tighten food safety requirements drastically over the past several years. And a good example of this is the Food Safety Modernization Act from the FDA. Manufacturers and distributors of all sizes are now required to have more than just a common sense approach to food safety. They're actually required to go through food safety training and have a written food safety plan or HACCP plan in place where you outline key food safety risks in your products and identify preventive controls to make sure that those risks are being eliminated. Record keeping for these preventive controls is required. Similarly, there are also new requirements for things like importation of foods into the US and Canada and the transportation of food. Regulatory inspections by the FDA and CFIA are continuing to increase, not only in frequency, but they're continuing to change in the way that they're conducted as well. Inspectors are not only just inspecting sanitation and food hygiene practices, but are now diving into the written food safety programs and record-keeping processes. So it's important that manufacturers are prepared for these inspections. Other considerations for having food safety top of mind include the risk of fines or closure mandates for failure to comply with regulatory requirements and legal or financial implications for foodborne illness allegations. And finally, we want to make sure that both the Whole Foods Market brand and your brand is protected. And the quickest way to destroy a brand could be a food safety issue in the form of a costly recall or even an outbreak. So what's new? Whole Foods Market is raising the bar on food safety. This includes not only the protocols we take in our stores, but also the source of the food items that we're bringing into those stores. And as a result of this, we've been introducing some new standards and requirements for some product categories. You might see new requirements introduced over the next year that affect the products you sell to Whole Foods Market. Not all product categories will be impacted by this. We've definitely taken a risk-based approach in order to focus on the highest risk food types. And we will inform you when any new requirements come into place that you will be given ample time to come into compliance. So you might be asking yourself if there is any way that Whole Foods Market can assist you as a supplier in the food safety journey. And your answer is the Food Safety Toolkit that we've made available on our supplier portal. All suppliers have access to this. We've started by creating links to different regulatory resources so that you can understand the requirements for your company. We've also developed some documents and learning modules to help you get started with developing your food safety programs and records. And we even have generic templates that you can save, that can help you save hours of time so that you don't have to create programs from scratch. And we're planning on adding several more resources here to the Food Safety Toolkit throughout the remainder of 2021. And I highly encourage you to tap into this to either help you start or continue your food safety journey. And now I'm going to hand it over to Brandon to talk about Food Logic.
Thanks, Chad. Chad spoke about why food safety is important and what's new regarding food safety. So I want to take some time to discuss how Whole Foods Market is going to collect and review the required information. Whole Foods Market has chosen the Food Logic application to facilitate the food safety and quality standards compliance review process for our suppliers. Food Logic is a free-to-use, easy-to-use platform that will not only provide information, but easily manage and keep this information up to date. It will also serve as a streamlined communication channel between your teams and Whole Foods Market. Along with our exciting partnership with Food Logic, we're excited to announce that Whole Foods Market has created a new standardized compliance program. A key goal when designing this new program was to ensure that you can easily understand and provide all Whole Foods Market onboarding and compliance requirements. To do this, we created a dedicated team of support specialists who will be there to walk you through every step of the onboarding and compliance process. We've also streamlined and standardized our onboarding and compliance review processes across all categories at Whole Foods Market, creating a consistent experience for suppliers selling across multiple categories. As far as next steps, we would ask that you log into our supplier portal and familiarize yourself with the information. We also ask that you monitor your email. Our supplier compliance team, in partnership with our merchant teams, will reach out to each supplier to notify you of your requirements and assist you with creating or updating your Food Logic account. Thank you for your time today, and we look forward to the continued partnership.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm real excited to get in front of all of you awesome local suppliers to talk more about the demo program and how we can get your products off of the shelf and into our customers' baskets. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, so please pardon my face for a second. But wanted to start off with an introduction. My name is Rachel Hewlett, and I am the senior team leader for our Whole Foods Market Demo and Events program. I've been with Whole Foods Market for 10 years and started in the store as a demo specialist and have basically been intimately involved in how demo and sampling have shown up in both our stores and some of our regions, and now the entire company as well too. In addition to myself, I do have a team of 3 that support on the Whole Foods Market side that you will hear from any or all of us at some point as you engage in the program. I have Jason Peller, Lindsay Bruner, and Mike Johnston. We are all available for any of your questions at demos@wholefoods.com. So please feel free to reach out so we can help you navigate and get you sampling your products in our stores at any time. So what is a demo? Demo is a word that's used in a bunch of different industries for different languages. There's music demos, there's construction demo. But at Whole Foods Market, when we say that we want to see demos and we love having demos, what we are looking at is a demo is an opportunity for you as a supplier to interact with our customers through sampling or education at a table in our stores. So it's basically a dedicated time and space for you to engage with our customers about your products. And now we also have some opportunity in our Wolf Moe or Whole Foods Market on Amazon platform as well too. At Whole Foods Market, we love seeing demos, especially from our local suppliers, and have really missed that engagement and environment and atmosphere over the past 18 months. And while it's looking a little different, we do really feel that demos create a really fun store environment for our shoppers as they navigate through the aisles. It provides you as a supplier a great storytelling opportunity about what's so great about your product, what made you make it, who you are, and all of those fun things that make your product so unique. It also provides that time not only to tell customers that story, but also our team members who are in the stores day in and day out and able to hear your story and tell it back to customers when you're not around. So highly think of that time with team members as super highly valuable opportunity for education. And also demos get your product off of the shelf. It gets you out of the aisle, from behind the freezer door, or out of the meat case, wherever your product is, and puts it in a prime location in front of customers so they can easily put it in their baskets. So to help navigate all that fun stuff that we love seeing in the stores, we have a Whole Foods Market demo program that provides a streamlined and consistent experience for you, the suppliers, for our store and store team members, and ultimately to our customers in a really great way that satisfies and delights their shopping experience. This program is run in partnership with Interactions, who help manage the online scheduling portal, the communication to the stores for ordering and giving them the heads up on who's coming in. They also provide the food safety equipment that help make the program run in a really great way that provides a comfortability to our customers so they're able to engage with us. They also have an optional brand ambassador staffing opportunity for you. Why we love having you in the stores, especially as our local suppliers, we know that's not always possible. So Interactions can help supplement some of your demos throughout the year with their brand ambassadors. And an important part of this program also was to make sure that it's always running as smoothly as possible. So we included a feedback loop for both our stores to provide feedback, as well as you, the suppliers, so we can ensure everyone is still having that streamlined and consistent experience throughout the program's thing. As we got into COVID in March of 2020, there had been some changes to the program. As we continue to navigate the ongoing COVID-19 situation, our top priority is the health and safety of our team members, customers, and you, our suppliers, while in our stores. As part of our COVID-19 response, we have implemented a few changes to the demo program to ensure everyone's safety to the best of our ability. What that has looked like, in addition to putting the program on pause, we have slowly relaunched it in some phases, which looks like a reduced program store participation and also a by market allowance of what type of demo is allowed. The current store list of what can be found that's on hold, educational or open and serve allowance, is available on the Whole Foods Market Supplier Portal's demo page. That is updated daily, if not weekly, with new stores that are undergoing changes due to mask mandates in place. At this time, if there is a mask mandate in place, all demos are required to be educational. That is affecting about 50% of our stores as of early September, with 50% of our stores still allowing open and serve demos to happen as well. Cooking demos are not allowed at this time. We look forward to engaging with them soon and hope to include them later this year, if not early next year, but we'll send out an announcement when that is allowed. We also have limited capacity for scheduling at each store. What that looks like is one hosted demo, one guest demo, and one adult beverage demo allowed at each store to really help maintain social distancing and traffic flow concerns. We now require the use of a sneeze guard at a demo. So when you arrive at the store, you will be given that food safe demo cart, in addition a sneeze guard as well too, along with some sanitation and disinfection spray to make sure that we are providing a really clean environment for our customers to engage with us. In addition to our Whole Foods Market demo program guidelines, we also have company-wide non-customer store visit expectations in place. Those are posted on the Whole Foods Market Supplier Portal and reference things such as mask wearing and temp checks. They are situational by metro, so we just encourage you to engage with your store team when you check in to make sure you're following all protocols as well. So while there have been some changes in relation to COVID-19, what the day-to-day or high-level approach of how a brand demos in the store hasn't changed. You still need to be registered with Interactions in order to execute or request a demo. What that looks like is providing product information in your COI. A friendly reminder, if you are responsible for all product information that's in your profile. So if you've added some new products throughout the past year or so and haven't demoed yet, we suggest going in and updating your profile. Same thing with the certificate of insurance that you're required to provide. That needs to get renewed annually. And so if you haven't been demoing recently, we, again, suggest going back in there and making sure your profile is up to date so you can hit the ground running whenever you're ready. Once you're registered and you're ready to go, you go in and request your demos by the products that you want, at the stores that you want, at the time slots that you want. We then run a check to just make sure that your product is carried at that store requested. And then once approved, the demos are executed in the store. Stores get a heads up from Interactions about through an ordering guide about what's coming. And so should have ordered up for product for you. You'll get your cart and equipment. head up on the floor and then start sampling to our customers. If there are any issues along the way, as I mentioned, please report it through the store portal so that we're able to fix it, not necessarily in the moment, but help hopefully prevent it in the future for sure. With the program, the Whole Foods Market demo program does cover all support for all product teams. So whether you're in meat or grocery or specialty, even adult beverage, all scheduling needs to go through the portal and through the interactions program so that we're providing the most accurate information to our stores at all time. There is a cost associated with that for 2022. Our pricing is staying the same as 2020 and 2021. And what that looks like for a local supplier is a $10 fee if you're a guest supplier, which is when you're going into the store and doing the demo yourself or with one of your direct employees, or as a $110 fee if you're hiring interactions to do the demo on your behalf. So that includes that labor piece, which is why it's higher. There are a couple different ways that a demo can be performed, which is an educational demo. You're still able to pass out collateral during that time, but there's no food involved. There's packaged samples where you are providing a manufacturer sealed sample along with an educational demo. And then there's active demos as well too, which include open and serve, heat and serve, and cooking. As I mentioned before, right now, about 50% of our stores allow for open and serve demos, but cooking and heat and serve demos are on hold until further notice. We are still seeing a great lift in the products that are being highlighted during educational demos and package sample demos. So still highly encourage y'all, no matter what the opportunity in your local area is, to engage with demos in whatever format is available. So that was our in-store program. As I mentioned, with a bunch of COVID changes, we also had to think about how we could hit our customers in a way when they weren't coming into our stores. So we've created a sampling and Welcome Away orders program that provides a guaranteed impression to satisfy, surprise, and delight our customers that are ordering through the Whole Foods Market on Amazon platform. There are two ways to participate. The multi-supplier campaigns go to the majority of our regions with kind of a themed campaign. But for local suppliers, we see you engaging more in that single region campaign and provide the opportunity for you to send out a shelf stable product along with some your brand messaging, as well as Whole Foods Market messaging as well too. There is an expectation that you provide samples for this as well as the program fee. If you're interested in this at any time, please reach out and we're happy to kind of talk through it with you and make sure you can show up to our customers that are ordering online versus going in the stores. Throughout the year, we also have a great opportunity for y'all to engage with what we call special events. These get a little bit more traction from our marketing team as opposed to just day-to-day demos. So they receive some additional in-store and out-of-store marketing and signage. They can be focused on what the in-store demos just themselves or partnered with what those sample bag overwraps can look like. And are usually focused at a subset of stores so we can really go a little bit bigger for our customers. Examples of those include Prime Day, those We Love Local events that we did in 2019, as well as category sales such as coffee and ice cream that local suppliers really own a lot of that assortment in, as well as new store openings. So we love having that local flavor whenever we launch into especially a new metro, but even just on a new street corner. So in order to stay up to date with all of that, we love making sure that you're in the know about what's happening. And in order to do that from our team, we need you to be registered with Interactions in order to do that. That helps us create a database of supplier contacts so that we are able to send out a monthly email that highlights these special events, new store openings that are coming up, as well as any other program reminders or helpful hints about how to navigate your profile. Major updates to the program, especially related to COVID-19, will be posted to this Whole Foods Market supplier portal on the demo page. You do need to register for that. So just if you haven't done that already, highly encourage you. There is some other information on there as well too. And then the Interactions portal where you do all your scheduling will also post those major updates to the program as we move forward. If you have any questions, again, reach out to myself, Jason, Lindsay, or Mike at demos@wholefoods.com, and we'll hopefully be able to navigate you to the right place if it's not directly from us. If you have any portal issues, since Interactions runs that, it's best to reach out to them directly, and you can at demoswfm@interactionsmarketing.com. If there's any feedback throughout the way that you have about this program, please let us know. We always are looking to improve it and make sure it's working the best for everyone. But can't wait to start seeing you guys in the store more. Reach out if there's any questions. and really looking forward to seeing and sampling your products in the future. Thanks so much. Appreciate the time.
Thank you sincerely for joining us today for this local supplier session. We wanted to share out that we will be hosting virtual trainings similar to this session at a later date that you can sign up for. Some of the content we will be reviewing in these trainings is a deeper dive into food safety and food logics, quality standards, promotional strategy, growing with whole foods, and more. Details will be out soon on how to view these trainings. On behalf of our local leadership team, we want to thank you for your partnership and hope that you share some of your feedback on this session with a follow-up survey to give us things to consider for future sessions we host. We appreciate your time today and your partnership. Have a great day. Thank you.